Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys predicted to cut new running back before playing a game for Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys added running back Royce Freeman this offseason, but there is some debate whether the veteran will actually suit up for the franchise. Fans may remember that a similar thing happened to Ronald Jones too in 2023. The Cowboys signed Jones last offseason only to later release the running back before he ever played in Dallas. The Athletic's John Makota's latest roster projections has Freeman being released and not making the final 53-man roster. Malik Davis also does not make the final roster in these projections. Malik Davis and Royce Freeman will have a chance to be part of this Final Four. Makota detailed in a July 3, 2024 story titled Cowboys 53-Man Roster Projection. Trey Lance versus Cooper Rush, decisions on the D-line. It's difficult to see Dallas keeping more than that at a position it hasn't invested very much. This is also a spot where someone not on the current roster ends up on the 53 during the season. If they aren't getting the job done, a move will need to be made. It's arguably Dallas' weakest position group. The Cowboys are looking to replace former starting running back Tony Pollard. The following four running backs make the Cowboys roster in Makota's projections: Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, and Hunter Luepke. Freeman played in 14 games for the Los Angeles Rams, notching 77 carries for 319 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in 2023. The running back also had stints with the Denver Broncos, Carolina Panthers, and Houston Texans. Even with the offseason additions of Elliott and Freeman, the running back position remains a question mark in Dallas. The Cowboys chose to pass on signing one of the top veteran running backs in free agency. Former starter Tony Pollard bolted Dallas to sign with the Tennessee Titans. Finally, the Cowboys did not address the position in the 2024 NFL Draft. It would not be a surprise if the Cowboys made a late addition to bolster the position. Regardless, Freeman's role on the team is far from certain. Freeman signed a one-year, $1.2 million contract with the Cowboys this offseason. How much of a role can Ezekiel Elliott have for the Cowboys in 2024? Dallas is hoping Elliott can jump back in the time machine and be a key part of the team's rushing attack. In his one season outside of Dallas, Elliott posted 184 carries for 642 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns in 17 appearances for the New England Patriots in 2023. This was the lowest rushing production of Elliott's career. Conversely, Elliott was active in the passing game, notching 51 receptions for 313 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, his best numbers since 2020. Dallas may be relying on Elliott this season, but the team has attempted to set realistic expectations. Earlier this offseason, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy squashed the notion that Elliott would return to being a bell cow running back. "I don't think that's fair." "What do you mean? The guy carried the ball more than anybody in the history to football in the first couple years. That's not going to be his role in 2024. McCarthy told reporters on May 11th when asked if Elliott could return to his former role with the Cowboys. "We're running back by committee. But I think he'll definitely play at the level that he's played, I know, in my time here. I anticipate that. I don't see any drop-off in the way he moves. He's in good shape." Cowboys predicted to trade for Eagles ex-star RB, intriguing option. The Dallas Cowboys may not be finished adding running backs. As the Cowboys prepare to begin training camp later this month, they'll do so with uncertainty at the running back position. That's because the team is lacking a clear-cut starter, with their major additions in the offseason being Ezekiel Elliott, who is more of a part-time back than a starter at this stage of his career, and journeyman Royce Freeman, who has started just one game since the 2019 season. Outside of those veteran additions, the Cowboys feature inexperienced runners in Malik Davis, Rice Dowdle, and Deuce Vaughn. Neither of those running backs have been starters during their careers. That lack of certainty at running back is a major reason why Bleacher Report's Alex Ballantini is making the bold prediction of the Cowboys of Dallas making a move for a running back via trade. Ballantini mentions Carolina Panthers running back and former Philadelphia Eagles Pro Bowler Miles Sanders as an option. "A veteran like Miles Sanders would also be an intriguing option," writes Ballantini. "He completely lost the backfield backfield in Carolina last season but had 1,347 yards from scrimmage in his 2022 campaign with the Eagles. Miles Sanders posted terrible 2023 season after career year. The 27-year-old Sanders had a career-best year during the Eagles' run to the Super Bowl during the 2022 season. He clinched his first Pro Bowl berth by running for 1,269 yards and 11 touchdowns, ranking 5th in rushing yards and 8th in touchdowns during the 2022 season. While he did post a decent 4.2 yards per carry clip during the postseason in addition to his 148 rushing yards on 35 carries, his usage started to decrease in the playoffs. In fact, backup Kenneth Gainwell saw more carries, 38, and ran for 190 rushing yards during the playoffs. While Sanders' role clearly decreased during the playoffs, he parlayed his banner year into a major contract during the 2023 offseason, inking a 4-year $25.4 million deal with the Panthers. However, Sanders was one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL last season, posting just 432 rushing yards on 129 carries with 3.3 yards per carry, all career lows. In fact, Sanders had the third lowest rushing average among the top 48 rushers from last season. Sanders' horrid start to the season led him to lose his starting job after the first 5 games of the season. After seeing 61 carries during the first 5 games of the season, Sanders carried the ball just 68 times in his next 11 appearances. Why Cowboys should trade for Miles Sanders? The veteran back will enter the 2024 season buried on the depth chart behind Chuba Hubbard and second-round pick Jonathan Brooks. Carolina also added former Seattle Seahawks starting running back Rashad Penny to the equation. With Sanders likely on his last legs in Carolina, now would be the perfect time for the Cowboys to trade for him for a low draft pick. The Panthers would likely rather trade him than outright release him. He has a $10.5 million dead cap hit for the 2024 season and receive a late-round draft pick in return. While the Cowboys are unlikely to part ways with Elliott, Freeman's spot on the team isn't guaranteed. The same applies for the 3 inexperienced backs in Davis, Vaughn, and Dowdle. While Sanders is coming off of a rough season, playing behind an established line and one of the best teams in the NFL may be the key to unlocking his potential once again. The one Cowboys player everyone has completely forgotten about. After the top cornerbacks were taken in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys traded back 2 spots and selected star edge rusher Micah Parsons. It will forever be remembered as the backup plan that worked out quite favorably for the Cowboys. Don't get us wrong, Patrick Surtain too, selected 1 spot before the Cowboys were up, would have been a great pick. He's had 2 Pro Bowl seasons, and his 7 career interceptions are just too shy of what Darren Bland had last year. PS2 is great, but that Parsons fella? Well, let's just say we're all happy with how that turned out. Not only did the Cowboys land the best player in the entire draft, but they also scored a 3rd-round pick, 84th overall, from the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for allowing them to move up. Dallas used that pick to select Iowa defensive lineman Chauncey Golston. Over his first 3 years in the league, Golston has played in 47 of a possible 51 games. He's only started 3 of them, as he's mostly served as a down-the-roster rotational player. His defensive snap counts are 41%, 2021, 23%, 2022, and 29%, 2023. He has a total of 79 tackles and 3.5 sacks. Coming out of college, he was viewed as a tweener, as he doesn't have the get-off to be an impact edge rusher, nor does he have the strength to anchor down and handle the pushback in the middle. For that reason, Golston was used in a variety of ways at Iowa, so it shouldn't be much of a surprise to see more of the same at the pro level. Dan Quinn used him at both spots as he essentially split his time at the DA and DT positions. Golston has not been able to find his niche in the Cowboys' defense, but that's okay. The team values versatility and Golston contributes any way he can. When you watch his film, he may seem unimpressive. There's no freaky athleticism or overpowering reps to get excited about. Golston is a blue-collar worker who plays to his strengths. His most effective skill set is using his great length to shed blockers. While he's not explosive or particularly strong, those long arms help him swim by opponents. Golston is also very good at knowing where he needs to go. He has a good sense of where the play is going and will attack in the right spots. This has allowed him to be a solid contributor wherever he plays. Golston also has value on special teams, as he's played in roughly a third of the snaps in the kicking game. He's found the end zone a couple of times so far, as he was the recipient of a gift fumble recovery on a blocked punt that landed right in his arms for a touchdown his rookie season. And last year, he scored a 2-point conversion on a fake extra point where punter Holder Brian Anger threw him the ball. He now enters the last year of his rookie deal. Nobody is giving him much thought, as our eyes are centered around more upside players like Sam Williams and Marshawn Nealand on the edge, or Osa Adegazuwa and Viliami Fehoko along the interior. But don't completely forget about Golston. Before, he was buried on the depth chart, but players like Durance Armstrong and Dante Fowler are gone. And with new defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer calling the shots, who's to say that Golston doesn't finally find a home on the defensive line?